We're live.
All right, cool. Is the microphone working?
Yep.
Okay. Hello. We're going to be talking about One Piece today. We're going to do some episodes 800 to 814, so 15 solid episodes. We got some stuff to talk about and things.
Okay. Continue.
Oh, cool. So, um, first thing we'll go through the main points really quick here. So the first one is Germa 66's vault, and their soldiers are clones. The second one is Sanji can't fight his brother Niji because of blackmail. Third one is the Germa 66 traveling across the red line that happened in a flashback. Fourth one, it's Sanji versus Luffy, and Nami slaps Sanji. And next one is Luffy versus the enraged army, and Sanji stops resisting, which is not good. Next one is Sanji and Big Mom's deal, which we will get into. And last couple are Big Mom wants Lola dead, her daughter, and Sanji proposed to Pudding. All right. Excuse me. So, first of all, we got to talk about Sanji's other brothers that are introduced. It is the red guy. His name is Ichiji, and which is the first son, and the second son's name is Niji. He is blue. And during this time, Luffy is fighting against the Cracker guy, and he eventually defeats him with the assistance of Nami. And Manami basically uses rain, and biscuits are weak to water, and so he's able to defeat him with mainly Nami's help. Without Nami, Luffy wouldn't have won. So there's that. That was cool. Then something that's more important is the Sanji gets to see the secret of Germa 66, which is the soldiers are all clones, and the soldiers don't know that they're clones. So when we see them do the wall, where they step in front of one of the kids or the dad to take a bullet, we now know why they do. It's programmed into them, and we learned that Judge worked with Dr. Vegapunk, and it takes 5 years to make a 20-year-old soldier, which is pretty neat. And also, Judge's kids themselves are superhuman experiments. So throughout these interactions, we hear that they keep calling Sanji a failure, and now we know why that they call him a failure, because he, instead of he didn't develop superhuman traits. He's just a normal human, and everybody else, the three other boys were successes, and the girl was like a half success. So she still has emotions. The other three boys don't have any emotions at all, which is cool. Awesome. We see Sanji wants to fight Niji, but he learns that if he continues to fight um, his friend Zeph will be killed. So he can't really fight back, which sucks for Sanji. And so we get like a flashback of Sanji as a kid, and his brothers would bully him and make fun of him for wanting to cook, and he kept failing all these tests because he wasn't superhuman, and he was royalty, so he was also forbidden to cook. And then eventually his dad judges so ashamed in Sanji that he just locks him up one day, puts a mask on him, and he just kind of forgets about him. And this is where Sanji learns to cook, and he eventually is able to escape. And he reveals to his dad, he's like, I'm gonna escape. He's like, oh, you're leaving of your own free will. Oh, this is great, this is wonderful. Yeah, I thought you wanted to stick around, thank God. And Sanji cries because of this. And so then he does his thing with Zeph, meets Zeph, and learns from Zeph, who is his actual dad, a real dad. So Sanji had a worse backstory than we originally thought. We thought it was just, oh yeah, he starved to death or almost starved to death and learned how to cook, and now he's free. But no, yeah, it was much more tragic than we thought. This also gets to the point where the Germa 66 was able to traverse across the red line to go from the North Blue to the East Blue, and they did it with their ships that can turn into snails and stuff. And they basically just crawled their way across the red line. So that was cool. And Judge's last words to his son were, don't ever admit that I'm your father in front of other people. And it was just like, wow, what a dick. Okay. Oh, right. And then it gets into Luffy finally defeating Biscuit. Luffy basically just eats a lot to do this. And we get a new form of Gear 4, which is Gear 4 Tank Man stuffed version. He just eats so much. And then every time Luffy's like, I can't eat anymore. Nami's like, yeah, right. He can eat more. Luffy's like, I can't eat anymore. Nami's like, yeah, right. You can eat more. Oh, Nami. What an idiot. Anyways, so they're able to win. And this pisses Big Mom off. And we learn about her two hands, which is one is Zeus, the other is Prometheus. And that the last time one of the generals was defeated, she basically destroyed an entire armada of ships, and that was pretty scary. So don't piss her off, but whatever. Excuse me. All right. Also we learned that Nami has a lot of power because of Lola's Vivre card of Big Mom. So that has the essence of Big Mom in it, and she was able to control the homies. And we learn a little later that she's also able to control the soldiers, the chess soldier guys. I forget what they're called. So that's that's very powerful tool that they have, and even able to control tree bound, which is like this giant tree in the forest. And that was also another reason why they were able to defeat Uncle Cracker. Or not Uncle Cracker. No, that's a musician. General Cracker. That's right. Um, Sanji also makes an important decision. Um, First of all, he comes to this decision to succumb to getting married, and he does this in order to protect his friends and Zeph and Baratier. Um, so first of all, Sanji's gets his wrists bound by like a slave collar kind of thing. If he steps off the island, they will explode. The second is the threat to Zeph, and he also wants Luffy to be free and not under the thumb of Big Mom, and to basically save their lives. Um, then there is right after he comes to this conclusion, um, Sanji fights Luffy. Luffy doesn't fight back, and he Luffy gets beaten so hard he loses a tooth, and he's just like, no, I know that you're my friend, and I know that you don't want to do this, and you're gonna come with me, and I'm gonna save you. And he's like, no, he needs to show his family that he's willing to go along with the marriage to protect Luffy. And he's like crying after this quote unquote battle happens. Luffy even says like, "Hey, I'm not gonna fight you," and then Luffy goes down, and then Nami just slaps him for the disrespect that is happening. And Sanji doesn't really want to do this; he's kind of forced to do it. Luffy even says, "No matter how many times you kick me, you're the one that gets hurt. Without you," meaning Sanji, "I can't become king of the pirates, Luffy." And Luffy is stubborn as always, and he's like, "I'm not going to eat anything unless Sanji cooks it for me," kind of thing. And then we get Luffy versus the enraged army, and Luffy's just kicking ass. And it starts to rain syrup, and that's a fun thing. So Luffy, the cool thing is Luffy versus the enraged army. Basically, it's all the not the homies, but the guards. They are also controlled by Nami's Vibra card, and we get a little more fan service, where this other one of the kids, is it Opera? No, Charlotte Gillette, the 18th daughter of Charlotte, blah blah blah, Minister of Butter. She has a specific sword. What is it called again? Oh, there it is. Wow, I can't even say it. Shirawo. Wow, say that 3 times fast. It's like a legendary sword, I guess. And she takes the Vibra card from Nami by digging into her boobs. And fan fiction. Great, grand, wonderful, cool. Let's see. Luffy refuses to believe. There's being storms. Oh, right. And then another cool thing was Big Mom's summoned like a storm, and Nami was able to use her rod to do thunder attacks using Big Mom's storm. So she was able to do a lot of damage. That was really cool to see. It was called Boom Out. That's what Nami called it. Let's see. Oh, and then Luffy gets captured. Luffy and Nami get captured, and they get trapped in one of the children. I think his name. I think it's. I forget who it is, but he controls like books and stuff. There's so many kids. I don't even know who it is that does it. It doesn't really matter. Uh, uh, but Luffy gets trapped in this book world, and it's where Big Mom stores all her interesting creatures and her prisoners and other living creatures. And it's like when you're in this world, you can't die. It's like you're in a book, kind of thing. But Luffy gets trapped there, and when he gets trapped there when he's fighting too, that's how he loses because it's basically an illusion as well. So he's like surrounded by a bunch of different creatures, but in reality, and getting hit by these creatures, but in reality, he's getting hit by actual people, and he just can't see anything. Let's see, prison library, treasure repository, where there's a room with a treasure repository where they have like 30 poneglyphs Big Mom has, and a road poneglyph. We are introduced to Charlotte Smoothie. She has a big bounty of 932 million. Holy balls! And she's also one of the Sweet Three generals. Let's see what happens. We get more info on Pedro. We learn that he is a poneglyph thief from 5 years ago. We learn about the special books. I forgot to also mention that in these special books, you cannot age. You can stay there for so you can be captured for a long ass time. Very lonely. You also don't get hungry because there's these special books. Strange Beast collections and prisoners, talked about that. And we also learn about the Tamate box. This was one of the treasures that came from Fishman Island. And if I remember correctly, the Tamate box had all the drugs in it that made, what was his name? The short guy. Not Arlong, the other one. Do you remember his name?
What do you mean by shark guy?
The big baddie in the Fishman Island arc.
Hody Jones.
Hody Jones. I think that's what the Tamate box held, if I remember correctly. Was those
a bomb?
What?
It holds a bomb.
Oh, it holds a bomb?
Yep. Because the fishermen guards put a bomb in there because Hody Jones wanted it. So they booby trapped it.
They booby trapped it. Got it. And okay. And Big Mom went on this whole rant of like, I'm gonna open this Tamate box at the wedding, and it's gonna be glorious, and it's gonna be this huge treasure. It's like, okay, now I remember. And then Nami and Luffy are getting questioned by Big Mom when they're imprisoned, and they're like, and everybody thinks that in order to get that Vivre card, Nami and the Straw Hats killed Lola, and she's like, no, I didn't kill Lola. Lola's my friend. They're like, what? Oh, she's your friend? Well, too bad you didn't kill her. And you're like, what? Big Mom wants Lola dead because she rejected a political marriage that would have given her power. And she's just like, and I would have been the king of the pirates. And then Luffy's like, no, shut up. That's boring. It's a boring story. But you're not the king of the pirates. That's what it is. So just shut up. But she doesn't care. She's like, there's gonna be a wedding. There's gonna be cake. I'm gonna open this box, and it's gonna be pretty sweet. And then we are introduced to Brook's new attack, the Soul King. He pops out his guitar after getting into the vault, and he's just like, "Hey, I'm gonna play my guitar, and look at this giant ghost like green thing," and it destroys a lot of the guards in there. Not everyone, but the weaker ones. And then we learn that at the very end that Sanji has proposed to Pudding, and Pudding um, talks to Luffy and Nami in their cell. It whispers them something. We don't know what, but basically she says, "Yeah, Sanji proposed to me," and yeah. So um, uh, that's what happened. What else did I write in my notes? Oh, there was another like side thing which is very interesting. So Big Mom had like a meeting with the Germa 66 family, and Judge was talking to her, and he was like, I like the fact that you have like all the races in your kingdom. You have, um, you have minks, you have the long arm people, you have the long leg people, um, you have fishmen, blah blah blah. And he says something like, but I have noticed something that's really odd. Like you don't have any giant people in your kingdom. Why is that?" And she just like laughs it off, like, "Oh, okay, because I guess I haven't encountered any." Haha, haha. And it's just like weird because she also wants to. She commissioned Caesar Clown to make giant people, um, and it's just like it does ponder the question of why doesn't she why if she's this big huge emperor person, why doesn't she have any giant people yet? And I do have a theory, is that my theory is that she is a giant person, but she was like kicked out or something like that, and that's all I can think of really. um but it is a really odd thing of her to do. um but anyways, that's it for this One Piece stuff, and then we'll end it there. Hope you learned something. If you're still here, great. If not, then I don't care.
Join us next week for another 10 plus episodes.
Yep.
I am watching far ahead and I'm past episode 1000. I'm also juggling a few other things along with work. But join us next week. Now we'll move on to next video. What are we gonna do now?
I don't know what are the other ones. Podcast.
And case closed.
Oh, right. Just do podcast. Get out of the way.
Eh, what do you want to start with?
Oh, right. Hello, welcome to the podcast. This is the Basement Dwellers. The NFL draft happened yesterday. We are currently on day 2, and I have not been paying attention to the draft today. However, the first day, we had, not surprising, the first overall was quarterback Cam Ward, went to Tennessee, and then there was a big surprise in the NFL draft where Shedeur Sanders was projected to go in the first round. However, he did not get drafted in the first round, which is very crazy and weird. See who else. Oh, right. We had the Shohei Ohtani of football, Travis Hunter, who went number 2 overall. He plays wide receiver and cornerback, and that's what he stated before he wanted to get drafted. Was he wanted to play 2 ways? He didn't want to choose one. Otherwise, he threatened to quit playing football. And then we had the defensive phenom, who was supposed to be like Micah Parsons, Abdul Carter, that went to the Giants. And he's supposed to be even basically the same as Micah Parsons, but he has a better pass rush. That's what they say. We don't know what happened. And those are the first 3. And the biggest surprise was Jackson Dart getting drafted by New York as well. He was the second quarterback to go off the board. And for the Minnesota Vikings, they drafted Donovan Jackson, an offensive guard. And another surprise, even for the Packers, hasn't happened in 23 years, but they finally drafted a wide receiver in the first round, Matthew Golden. And they are currently drafting right now. They are in the 3rd round. And I'm looking to see if Shedeur Sanders got drafted. I don't see his name anywhere as of yet. But what I was hearing today is why Shedeur Sanders was not drafted is because he they drafted 2 quarterbacks and they were not Shedeur Sanders. He didn't have a good like pro day or something, and he was like very arrogant, and you have to deal with his dad and all that stuff. Being who he is, prime time. And yeah. I think that's it for football news. What can we talk about next? What about movies coming up?
Where did I have that? This week we have The Accountant 2, Cheech and Chong's last movie, re-release of Star Wars: Revenge of the Sith, Until Dawn, April, California King, Havoc, Neighborhood Watch, and On Swift Horses. And also Sunday, we apparently have a re-release of Happy Gilmore.
But they were coming out with Happy Gilmore too, though.
Yeah, but they must be re-releasing it to kind of promote the second one.
Oh, okay.
I know Skeeter and I are going to see Until Dawn. We may or may not get a review out for it. We're going to see it Sunday night. And I plan to see Cheech and Chong. I probably won't do a review. I might briefly mention it next week. And our next for sure review is going to be Neighborhood Watch. That stars Jeffrey Dean Morgan, Jack Quaid. I'm going to pull it up. Not what I wanted to do. I don't want spoilers. I accidentally pulled up the Wikipedia, not the IMDb page. Starring Jack Quaid, Jeffrey Dean Morgan, and Malin Ackerman. It is about when a mentally ill young man thinks he witnesses an abduction and the police refuse to believe him. He reluctantly turns to his next door neighbor, a bitter retired security guard, to help him find the missing woman. Just watching the trailer, Jack Quaid and Jeffrey Dean Morgan seem like a really good pair. Wouldn't you agree, Skinner?
Yes. They're the best pair. The best pair I've ever seen. Ever.
It's a crime thriller, rated R for some bloody violence, or some violence, bloody images, and language. Let's do. Since we're also gonna see it. Until Dawn. It's based on a video game, but this one seems to be a little different. It stars Ella Rubin, Michael Cimino, and Odessa Asian. Drama horror, rated R for strong, bloody horror, violence, gore, and language throughout. Tagline is every night holds a clue, every death brings you closer to the truth. Any other movie fit your fancy by just the name?
I want to see the video game one, Until Dawn. That's what I'm excited about.
That's what I just covered.
I know you covered it, but that's what I want to see. I want to see that. Saw part of the trailer. It looks scary. But I think more importantly, I want to see the characters fail their quick time events. You know, taking the long route, running into trees, trying to get up, running into the same tree, falling down, trying to get up, or run into the same tree again. You know, that fun stuff when you fail your quick time events. I want to see the guy with the flamethrower in there. I want to see him die. Good stuff. And every time you make a decision, you get to see a butterfly effect. Wow.
There's one other thing I wanted to mention that was on the tip of my tongue, but I forgot. And for game news, I do have a little bit. Switch has become the fastest pre-orders system of all time. The pre-orders just recently went up. Expedition 33 has the highest new studio ROG rating on Metacritic. I'm just reading from Elusive, so I may sound confused because I don't know exactly what he's talking about. Nintendo doubles down on price raise, saying it wasn't what they wanted to do, so they kept the system price at what they quoted and put a small increase on other accessories. Microsoft is pushing Xbox on to as many forms as possible. Sony says more exclusives are coming to PC, starting with Last of Us 2 and the Days Gone remaster. And I can't say the other stuff because it's not not related. Because he said immediately 3 other things. I do have a little other news. On yesterday, the final season of You came out. I've watched the first 3 episodes. I really like it so far. It's got me intrigued.
Great, grand, wonderful.
The final 2 Gintama movies are being re-released in Japan in theaters. Or the final and then the very final. I wish that they'd come here because I'd love to see them again on theater screen. That was pretty much all I could find for news. So I figured we'd end with one new thing to try. I already told you about it, Skinner.
Forgot. What is it?
Now, with every podcast, I'm gonna go on a certain quiz website and click random quiz, and we're gonna take the quiz.
How long does the quiz take?
It shouldn't take that long.
What is that?
What?
What is that? How that doesn't answer my question.
It depends on how long it takes us to answer the questions.
Okay.
So if you want to, and if you haven't already, pull up the stream, and I'll share it. I'll also read them out for you.
Yeah, do that. Because if people want to listen and you don't say the question,
yep,
people are gonna say "fuck you."
Well, let's start off with I'll hit random. Can't really do that one without you looking. Hey, this one's about dragons. Can you choose the dragons? Like what? Which, what is this dragon from, basically?
Okay, Dragon Ball Z.
Which anime card game features the Blue Eyes White Dragon?
Yu-Gi-Oh!
The choices are Yu-Gi-Oh, Digimon, Pokemon, and Dungeons and Dragons.
Dungeons and Dragons.
What was the name of the dragon in Disney's Pete's Dragon? David, Elliot, George, or Harry?
Puff. Because Puff the Magic.
That's not one of the choices.
Well, I'm going with choice E.
D it is. Wrong. It was Elliot.
I went with choice E as in Echo.
Who provided the voice of Smaug the Dragon in the Hobbit series?
Jack Black.
Benedict Cumberbatch, Morgan Freeman, Will Smith, or Anthony Hopkins?
Will Smith.
Benedict Cumberbatch. I'm putting in the answers you answer with.
Yeah, that's fine.
Who wrote the original How to Train Your Dragon? David Walliams, Cressida Cowell, Tom Fletcher, or Julia Donaldson?
Julia. The Julia one.
Cressida Cowell. What year was Dungeons and Dragons created? 1984, 1974, 1969, or 1979?
74.
You got it right.
That's right, because I'm a smart person.
Which rugby league or which rugby team uses the Dragons nickname? Or Dragon as a nickname? Catalans, North Wales, Newcastle, or Salford?
The last one. Southward Dragons.
Catalans.
Meadowlands?
Catalans.
Don't know that.
What was the name of the dragon in Eivor the Engine? Mafanwi, Bronwyn, Rian, or Idris?
I don't know.
Idris. What was the name of the luck dragon in Neverending Story?
Warmonger.
Malcolm, Archimedes, Falcor, or Gryffindor?
Gryffindor, for sure.
Nope, Falcor. The Dragon Slayer St. George was born in Cappadocia. In which modern-day country is Cappadocia? Albania, Greece, Turkey, or Croatia?
Croatia, why not?
Turkey. Horror novel Red Dragon is famous. My screen just went dark. There it goes. For first introducing which character? Freddy Krueger, Harley Quinn, Dr. Hannibal Lecter, or Voldemort?
Harry Potter.
Nope, like Hannibal Lecter. Common theme in most cultures is that dragons are evil creatures. What is the name of the dragon-like serpent which definitely lives up to this evil persona in Egyptian mythology? Apep, Sekhmet, Abdu, or Erase?
Erase, because it's the last one I heard.
Nope, Apep.
Okay.
What is the name of the film starring Tom Hanks that was based on Dungeons and Dragons? I did not know there was a Dungeons and Dragons movie starring Tom Hanks.
Yes, absolutely, there was.
The Rise of the Demogorgon, Wizards and Warlocks, Maze and Monsters, or Demons and Swords.
C. Mazes and Monsters.
You got it right.
That's right.
Apart from Wales, what is the only other European country to have a dragon on its flag? Andorra, Estonia, Malta, or Georgia?
Estonia. Anyways, about the Tom Hanks movie, that was a movie they were trying to portray it as satanic and try to get people to become aware to not play Dungeons and Dragons.
The answer is not Estonia. I already forget. Malta. In which children's TV show did the soup dragon provide the soup? Button Moon, Nogging the Nog, Bagpuss, or the Clanners?
C.
The Clanners. Who wrote The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo? Cornelia Funk, Anne McCaffrey, Terry Pratchett, or Stieg Larsson?
Terry Bradshaw? Yeah, C. Let's go with that.
No, but Terry Pratchett wrote the Discworld series, not Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. It was Stieg Larsson.
Oh, don't really care.
In which land did Puff the Magic Dragon live?
Needle World.
Keeley, Peterlee, Honolulu, or a land of make believe?
Don't know. D.
Honolulu. Which country is known locally as Jukul, or Land of the Thunder Dragon? Mongolia, Bhutan, Cambodia, or Nepal?
A.
Bhutan. Which book in the Bible mentions a seven-headed dragon? Job, Revelation, Leviticus, or Genesis?
Genesis.
Revelation. In which books would you find a dragon type called Romanian? Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, The Worst Witch, or How to Train Your Dragon?
Harry Potter.
The fairy tale of Stan Bullivant tells us how he bluffs his way through a series of challenges from a dragon in order to gain food and money for his 100 children. From which country does this fairy tale originate? This is the last question, by the way. Germany, Slovakia, Lithuania, or Romania?
Lithuania.
Romania. Can you guess how well you did?
Probably really bad, but I don't really care. So
You got 4 out of 20.
that's fine. That works for me. 420, baby.
You got a fifth of the questions right.
Yeah, 420. That was my goal.
That was for that. I'll try to find something that fits your fancy more next time.
Sure.
There's one other thing. Ski Nerd and I, last night, what did we do?
We went to see a movie.
And who was there?
With the guy who made it.
What movie?
Kevin James. You guys like Kevin James? Yeah, he did that, what was that, Mall Cop thing?
Better yet,
Yeah.
I'll just do this. since I posted the video or posted the picture on Discord. If it's gonna want to work. We went to see Dogma, and Kevin Smith was there.
Yep. He was a regular human. And he answered questions.
While also writing a book, because his answers were lengths of books or short stories. Each answer took about half hour to answer for each question. I got to meet him. Again, I've met him before. Because I just happened to go outside and go to the restroom and stopped to talk with some old coworkers, and he came out. So I was wearing one of his club shirts and started talking to me.
Yeah.
That was that. And then two more, I forgot to say, music news for once. Two bands of my top 3 bands released 2 new songs this week. Ailstorm released Frozen Piss 2, which was pretty decent. I've only listened to it once, but. And today, Sabaton released Templars, which was good as well. That was it for this week's podcast. We may have more next, or will it do the next one next week? Same day, don't know about same time yet. Bye.
Yeah, bye.
Now for the last part of the night. Detective Conan. This week we only did 3 episodes. Because I was tired after the third one.
Yeah.
Starting with episode 17, Hijacked Department Store Case.
Oh, that's right. This is the one where they're in they meet the Power Rangers or whatever, and then one of the kids forgets his autograph, so they go back in, and then the store closes. And then they realize that the people who are in the Power Rangers costumes were trying to steal from the mall, and they have to try to stop them. That's pretty much the essence of the episode, and they're just basically running around Home Alone, doing the Home Alone thing and trying to get away from the bad guys. And in some instances they do, in some instances they don't, and they're running away the whole time, and shenanigans happen, and they eventually figure out that there's this lady who was tied up, that she's actually the head boss, and their plans were foiled. They did it. How did they do it? I don't remember, but they were able to do it.
They tied up 2 of them, and that's all I remember.
Yep, sounds about right.
But, yeah, that was pretty straightforward, very short video. We can now move on to episode 18. The June Bride murder case. This one's about the superintendent of the police, his daughter getting married. Both Conan, Ron, and Sonoko attend the wedding.
The wedding?
Yeah. You forgot the episode?
Attend the wedding. What was the episode called again?
June Bride murder case.
June Bride murder case. Who died again?
The bride.
Oh, that one. Okay, yeah. So they're basically there was their old teacher that was getting married, and someone, as they're talking with her, someone tried to poison her, and she like fell over, and she didn't die, but it was attempted murder. Turns out, and they had to figure out how the poison got into her lemon tea can or whatever, and turns out it was the husband to be, and he killed her. He tried to kill her
because her dad, who is the superintendent, was involved in a police car chase that ended up getting his mom killed.
Yep, that's right.
And there's a whole thing about them also being childhood friends, and he didn't realize it. But they all end up happily living, still getting married, even though he almost killed her.
Yep. And he's just like, "Oh, you will never forgive me," blah blah blah. But then she does, but she knew the whole time
that her dad killed his mom and or was involved in the chase. His car didn't hit him, hit her. The car he was chasing hit her.
Yep.
But this episode introduced the superintendent. He appears every once in a while. Kiyonaga Matsumoto. Let's see, anything else? No, that should be about it. Another kind of straightforward, just murder case. Even though it wasn't a murder, it was attempted murder. Now let's go on to the last episode of the night. The elevator murder case.
The elevator murder. Oh yeah, this one. I remember this one. So this one is the detective's daughter Ran was selected to be a model or something for the day, and they walk in and this famous lady is like, "Hey, I'm here to see you," and then her assistant comes in and she like doesn't give a shit. She's like, "I'm quitting anyways. I don't give a shit." And they go up the elevator, and then they're both in separate elevators. They go up, and then the main lady comes down. She's like, "Oh my god, this person, I called her and she didn't answer. We need to find her." And then they found the dead girl's body, and Detective Conan's running around trying to figure out all these extra clues, and there was like weird things that were off, like
Tape on the near the button.
you know, facing her, the dead body was like facing outward, and they said like a robber stabbed her or something like that. And that was like off, and there was like pollen and flowers and tape on one of the buttons. And they figured out it was the woman who called it in. She found out that this other girl stole some of her designs, and then she tried to quit, and so she wanted to kill her. And they did it. That was pretty much it. That was pretty much what happened.
And that was, yeah, 3 pretty straightforward episodes. We'll do a couple more next week. Don't know how many, because we aren't watching it at a certain pace like we are with One Piece. We're just watching them whenever we basically feel like it.
Yep.
Next week, you'll be introduced to one of my favorite cops. Wataru Takagi is his name. He's introduced in the first two-parter case, I believe.
Oh, why
Or
not?
no, that isn't a two-parter. Never mind. He's introduced in episode 21. Favorite just because he's probably one of the most reoccurring cops, other than the inspector, because the inspector's there almost every single episode. If it's in Tokyo, at least.
Yep.
There's a lot, there's a lot of reoccurring characters you haven't met. Of course, with series that's over 1,000 episodes.
That is true. There's a lot of episodes.
That was it for today's videos. We may do a review of Until Dawn on Sunday. It really depends on how tired we are after watching it. Or I might save that for a different day during the week. or tomorrow we'll be doing anime D&D, my version. Have a good night, everyone.